I, 30 male, have spent the last 5 years being the ghost of my family. I left my hometown at 25 with nothing but a beat-up car and a backpack because I couldn't take the constant belittling. My older brother, 35 male, was always the golden boy. He was the one who stayed, took over our father's mid-sized logistics company, and eventually married into a wealthy real estate family. I was just the screw-up who didn't want to follow the script. To be clear, the script involved me working under my brother for peanuts while he took credit for my ideas. When I finally called him out on his incompetence and suggested we modernize our systems, my father fired me. He told me I wasn't management material and that I'd be lucky to find a job cleaning toilets. So I left. I went completely no contact. No Christmas cards, no birthday calls. I spent those 5 years grinding in silence. I taught myself to code, built a logistics optimization software that actually works, and started my own firm. Last week was my cousin's wedding. It was a massive, over-the-top event at a private estate. I decided to show up mostly because my cousin was the only one who didn't treat me like garbage back then. I wore a nice suit, but I kept a low profile. I didn't want to make a scene. I just wanted to see if they'd changed. Spoiler, they hadn't. During the reception, my brother spotted me at the bar. He was already several glasses of wine deep. He walked over with a smug, punchable grin and looked me up and down. "Look who decided to crawl back," he said, loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. My father and mother were sitting right there. My father didn't even look up from his plate. My brother leaned in, swirled his wine, and smirked. "So, let's settle the bet. Are you still cleaning toilets for a living? Or did you finally move up to scrubbing the floors too?" A few of our relatives chuckled. My mother just looked away, embarrassed that I was even there. I didn't get mad. Honestly, I just felt a weird sense of pity. I pulled out my encrypted key fob, the one that links to my company servers, and set it on the bar. "Nah," I said, keeping my voice level. "I mostly travel now. My company pays me even when I sleep. It's funny you mention cleaning, though, because I've spent the last few years scrubbing the inefficiencies out of businesses just like yours." His smirk faltered. "Your company? You probably mean you're a delivery driver for someone else." "Actually," I said, "I'm the guy who just bought out your fleet's GPS and fuel tracking provider. I've spent the last month looking at your books, brother. You're bleeding cash. And that major medical supply contract you guys have been bragging about? The one that keeps your lights on? They're not renewing. They signed with my firm this morning." The table went dead silent. My father finally looked up, his eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about? That's family business." "It was family business," I replied. "But since you fired me for wanting to modernize, I decided to do it on my own. And since my brother here has been using creative accounting to hide losses from his failed expansion in Florida, the board of directors is about to have a very bad Monday." The entitlement in my brother's face shifted into pure panic. He tried to grab my arm, but I stepped back. "You're lying. You're just a bitter loser trying to ruin my wedding weekend." "It's not a lie," I said. "In fact, your father-in-law already has the forensic report I sent over. You used his daughter's trust as collateral for those expansion loans without telling her, didn't you?" At that moment, my brother's father-in-law stood up from across the room. He was staring at his phone, his face turning a deep shade of red. He marched over, ignored the wedding festivities, and told my brother to be in his office at 8 a.m. Monday with a lawyer. He then grabbed his daughter and walked out of the reception. My brother lost it. He lunged at me, tripping over a chair and landing on the floor in front of everyone. He looked pathetic. He started screaming that I was a thief and that I owed him everything because he kept the family legacy alive. "You didn't keep it alive," I told him. "You strangled it. You thought you were entitled to success because of your last name, but you forgot that you actually have to be good at the job." My father stood up, looking at me with a mix of shock and dawning realization. "You can't do this. We're blood. You're going to let the firm go under?" "I'm not letting it go under," I said. "I'm buying it. As the primary creditor for your equipment leases, I'm calling the notes. I'll keep the staff and the drivers, but you and my brother are out. You told me 5 years ago there was no room for dead weight. I'm just following your advice." The legal fallout was exactly what you'd expect. Because the company handled interstate medical supplies, my brother's fraudulent filings triggered a federal audit. He didn't just lose the company. He's currently looking at a massive indictment for wire fraud and embezzlement. My father had to sell his house to cover the personal guarantees he signed for my brother's expansion. I ended up buying the remnants of the company through a holding firm. I kept the employees who had been there for decades, gave them raises, and integrated my software. The company is actually profitable now for the first time in years. I didn't do this for revenge, at least not at first. I did it because I was tired of being the villain in their story, just because I wanted to be better. They spent 30 years trying to keep me in the dirt, but they forgot that's where things grow. Now, my brother is waiting for a trial date, and my parents are living in a modest apartment I secretly pay the rent for through a third-party trust. They still don't know it's me. They probably wouldn't take the money if they did, and honestly, I'm fine with that. I don't need their thanks. I already got the look on my brother's face at the wedding, and that was worth every penny. If you enjoyed seeing a golden boy get his ego liquidated, stick around. I've got plenty more stories about how the failure ended up owning the boardroom.